Do not believe your lying eyes. This is the exact sentiment that the Trump administration would have had you believe over the weekend after ICE got into another altercation with an American citizen and killed them. In this case, we have Alex Pretti, who was a Veteran Affairs ICU nurse. And after an altercation with ICE agents in Minneapolis, he did not make it out and back home that day. Now, again, this narrative that they would have had you believe would have probably been something that they stuck to and stuck their guns with, considering that this very same thing happened a few weeks ago with Renee Good. But again, it immediately fell apart about a mere 48 hours later, probably even 24 hours later, as different angles and videos and perspectives started to come out on this situation. So what we're going to do here today, well, actually, before I get into that, what's interesting about this one is the fact that not only did the narrative that they originally tried to spin fall apart, but we also wound up seeing something that we never see, which is backtracking. The Trump administration, no matter what happens, no matter how crazy something is, they have no shame, almost never. The bar is 100% in the ground. It doesn't even ever seem to appear like it's going to change. But for this particular situation, I think it was just so damn terrible that we will actually witness some backtracking. So what we're going to do here today is we're going to go through the video. I mean, at this point, it's been a couple of days. There's been many different compilations and angles. And so I'm going to react to one here with you guys from BBC News, where they compiled all the different angles and try to break it down. We're going to go through it ourselves, give my commentary, give my thoughts. But we're also going to go ahead and discuss, number one, how some of the initial reactions to this incident looked in how they were being spun by the Trump administration versus where things are starting to develop now that this is like undeniably a terrible situation, especially for ICE. And unlike the Renee Good situation, it doesn't what happened here today. And simply put, guys, this is when incompetence meets no accountability, or incompetence meets negligence. Very, very simply. So without further ado, guys, let's get right into the video here. As I mentioned, I have a clip from BBC News. We're going to react to it, and we're going to go through it together. Without further ado, make sure this is all good to go. Gets a little shaky when I haven't done a live stream in a while. So, if I'm messing things up, feel free to let me know in the comments. I will be checking them all stream long. Anyways, let's get into it, guys. Yeah, first things first. Need to have this sound in the right place. All right, my bad. Sorry about that. All right, let's keep it going.
Alex Pretti was killed by federal agents on Saturday, the 24th of January. He was shot in Nicollet Avenue in Minneapolis, less than 3 weeks after Renee Good was also shot and killed by federal agents in the city. In the hours after Alex Pretti's death, the Trump administration offered this explanation.
This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at the scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
All right, right off the bat, we're going to talk about that because what this video is going to show us is that in that initial reaction, we are already starting the gaslighting. See, like, it's very, very different when you can say, hey, by the way, this individual went out to cause pain and inflict harm in law enforcement, and we have no video. But in 2026, that is absolutely not the case. So we will believe our eyes, and you will not convince us that they are lying. Keep it going.
With that in mind, let's look at the available evidence about what happened that Saturday morning. The first video we have starts more than 6 minutes before the shooting. A woman is recording, and she sees federal agents approach a store called Glam Doll Donuts. With her is a man who's on the phone. More agents arrive. They're there to arrest a suspected illegal immigrant. They're about 25 meters from where Alex Pretti will be killed. Less than a minute after that, the man starts verbally abusing the agents. The man continues to shout. And then, 3 minutes and 23 seconds into this video, we see Alex Pretti. Soon afterwards, he's being pushed back by an agent. "Do not touch me," he shouts. The same moment is captured in another video, which starts a little earlier. Here's Alex Pretti in the road, holding a phone and face-to-face with a federal agent. Again, we see the agent push him, and Alex Pretti steps backwards. We can clearly see he has a phone in one hand, nothing in the other.
Also, mind you, like, at that point, he's just recording. He is actually moving back, and you are allowed to say not nice things to police officers. You can do that. Whether or not you should or shouldn't is a separate discussion, but you have a First Amendment right to do that. And at this point, he's done absolutely nothing wrong. Let's keep it going.
Before we continue to assess the video evidence, keep in mind what the Trump administration said about two things: Alex Pretti's intentions and the nature of the protest in the street. We were told Alex Pretti was an assassin who tried to murder federal agents. We were told he
Like, man, can you, like, I just want to take a second. Or I just want to take a second on that. Do y'all see how, like, ridiculous this is? The level of ridiculousness you need to have. Guys, we're going to get to the clip in a second, but if you haven't seen it and this is the first response to it, it would make you think that what we're going to watch is a guy on the streets trying, like literally like a school shooter ready to go out hunting ICE agents. And this is not going to line up with reality. This is what is the craziest thing about this entire situation, or the Trump administration in general, especially with their ICE surge and whatever they have going on here. And this is going to be another example of it. But I think this is the worst example of ICE tension in the street, because right now what we're going to witness is, I think an example of the administration and initially trying, like this goal here, to make it seem one way, but there is just no way to explain what it is that we see. Let's keep it going.
assassin who tried to murder federal agents. We were told he intended to
massacre law enforcement.
And we were told this.
This is a violent riot when you have someone showing up with weapons and are using them to assault law enforcement officers.
The continuous video we
Again, he said that he had weapons and he was using them to assault law enforcement officers. Great. If that's what happened, not saying you would want things to end up a certain way, but I'm saying that this is an entirely different story. But again, with videos, what they're describing here is divorced from reality. Let's keep going. We'll get to the clip shortly.
have of the minutes before the shooting doesn't show anything that supports this. Here's another video. Alex Pretti is on the right. Once more, he has nothing in one hand, a phone in the other. Nearby are two people interacting with an agent. One has an orange rucksack, one has a brown coat. We see them both again in multiple videos, including this one, that shows the moments leading up to Alex Pretti being shot. Let's pause the video here. This is 33 seconds before the first shot is fired. An agent pushes the person with the brown coat, then pushes Alex Pretti, then pushes the person with the orange rucksack, who falls to the ground. Before continuing, let's hear the Trump administration's account of the incident.
An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently.
There's no evidence that
Yeah. Okay. So y'all just seen it with your own eyes. And now you see what Kristi Noem originally said happened in that moment. This is gaslighting at its finest. And like, honestly, it is probably the worst thing about this entire situation, because you just can't help but feel and think to yourself, do they really think we're that dumb? I mean, it's one thing to have a moment or a situation happen where there is no recordings, but to see it from multiple angles and to still hop on a camera and hop on a microphone and tell us that that's not what you saw. We're going to tell you what you saw, and we expect you to believe it. Different levels of wild, different levels of gaslighting. And I tell you right now, it's just honestly not surprising for this administration. But let's keep it going.
at this point, the agents knew that Alex Pretti was armed. We see him step between the person with the orange rucksack and an agent. For a brief moment, he touches the agent near the waist. He's then pepper sprayed. We're now 27 seconds before the first shot is fired. He raises.
All right, so let's just understand that real quick, right? He is trying to help this woman here get up, and then he's immediately pepper sprayed. So he's not, let's not say he violently attacked her or anything like that. He was immediately engaged, and pepper spray is no joke. Let's keep it going. We'll stop pausing as much so we can get through the main core pieces from this point.
Raises a hand as if to block the spray and then turns away, bending down, as if to help the person who the agent had pushed to the floor. The agent grabs his arm and starts to pull him away. As more agents arrive, they wrestle Alex Pretti to the ground. This is 9 seconds before he's shot. President Trump referred to Alex Pretti.
All right, let me just pause there before we get into Trump's initial response here. So just so you understand here, I think one of the things that I've been listening to in some of these discussions around this is that some people were trying to say, oh, but like in that moment, he's resisting. And I just want to speak, like, do y'all understand what it is to get pepper sprayed in the face? Like, this isn't like a simple situation. You are blinded, you are in pain, and every instinct in your body to just like defend yourself from some of the subsequent blows he was taking at that point are only natural. And it's kind of crazy for people to be seeing that natural reaction and thinking, oh, but he's still resisting, though, as if it makes it okay for the eventual, thousands of agents to jump on him and start going on with whatever's going on here, right? So we'll pause it there. Let's check out Trump's initial response to this video.
To the ground. This is 9 seconds before he's shot. President Trump referred to Alex Pretti as a gunman. That description normally suggests someone who is actively using a gun. None of the videos we've analyzed show Alex Pretti holding a gun. Throughout these moments, he has a phone in his right hand and appears to be filming.
Okay, and also we'll get into that a little bit more later, because this winds up being one of the reasons why that Trump administration and Republicans in general are viewing this situation very differently. It's because you're going to hear eventually some type of anti-Second Amendment rhetoric, and it is not normal for these folks. And it kind of goes to show where it's like there are no sacred things for a lot of these folks. It is just that, like, we defend these things so long as it is defending them against the people we don't like. But if it's the people we don't like, we are not principled enough to actually defend these things. To the point where, and we'll see it later, or we can discuss it a little bit later, to the point where you even have issues with the NRA coming out and pretty much saying to themselves, or saying out loud, they're not comfortable with some of the rhetoric, the anti-Second Amendment rhetoric coming out from members of the administration, because all of a sudden the pro-Second Amendment people who have nothing bad to say when there is a school shooting, not saying that they are okay with the shootings, but I say they have nothing bad to say in the way of condemning guns, gun owners, or anything like that, are all of a sudden turning around and condemning a gun owner for lawfully carrying his weapon in Minneapolis. We're going to see a little bit more of that, and we'll get to it in just a second. Let's finish breaking down the video.
As we return to the video, Alex Pretti is now surrounded by 8 agents. He's on his knees, bent over. We can clearly see his hands on the floor, and he's struggling against being held down. One agent repeatedly strikes in the direction of his head. Let's highlight another agent in a grey jacket. Note that his right hand is empty. He reaches down and removes what appears to be a gun from Alex Pretti's waistband. He then steps back, and the gun is clearly visible in his right hand. That gun appears to match this weapon, which was shown in an image shared by the authorities. And there are several things to note here. Carrying this type of gun is legal in Minnesota with a valid permit. The police say Alex Pretti had one. The FBI Director Kash Patel has implied it's illegal to bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest. But
a total lie, by the way. Like, a total lie. And by the way, guys, this clown right here is the FBI director, okay? That is 100% anti-Second Amendment. That is 100% not true, okay? You can bring a gun if you have the right to carry. You are a legal gun owner. You can bring your gun. All of a sudden, the same people who was defending Kyle Rittenhouse don't know that you are allowed to bring a gun to a protest. Like, are you serious right now? Like, this is some of the nonsense and hypocrisy I'm talking about. These folks don't seem to understand the difference between having a principle and actually believing in something. Let's keep it going.
It's not. In Minnesota, it's not illegal to bring a loaded firearm to a protest. The head of the FBI got that completely wrong. Indeed, in the US, having a gun in your belt is not, in and of itself, considered a threat. As we saw, Alex Pretti's gun was removed. There's been no suggestion he was armed beyond this point. And as the gun is taken, we hear voices shouting. At this point, let's highlight another agent too. This one. He'll go on to fire the vast majority of the shots. But look, as other agents struggle with Alex Pretti, this agent... At this point, let's highlight another agent too. This one. He'll go on to fire the vast majority of the shots. But look, as other agents struggle with Alex Pretti, this agent is facing away. He then turns towards Alex Pretti. At this point, he has a clear view of the agent in the grey jacket who's about to remove the gun. The agent we're now focused on is wearing a black beanie hat, a black face covering and sunglasses. He's facing towards Alex Pretti. We can't say definitively he sees the gun being removed, but he's facing in that direction. And the agent in the grey jacket turns away, holding Alex Pretti's gun. At almost exactly the same time, the agent in the black beanie hat draws his weapon. And the first shot is fired.
So, and we'll get into this in a second. What this looks like to me is, again, as I mentioned, pure incompetence. Pure incompetence. Well, let me let the next couple seconds play, and I'll tell you why that is.
You can see that he fired the second, third, and fourth shots. Alex Pretti collapses to the ground. The agent stepped back, standing clear of his motionless body. Another agent draws his gun and also points it at Alex Pretti. More shots are fired. None of the other agents can be seen to draw their firearms at any point. The agent who fired the first shots can be seen firing the final 3. In total, 10 shots were fired in 5 seconds. And the legality of this action is under scrutiny.
It is unconstitutional to use lethal force against someone who does not pose an imminent threat of death or serious bodily harm to another person.
25 seconds after the final shot, agents kneel by Alex Pretti's body. One gestures towards another for something on the back of his body armor. 1 minute and 13 seconds after the final shot, we hear the agents talking about Alex Pretti's fire. And another agent arrives, slipping on the ice as he does. And there's an exchange with someone in the car where this video is being filmed.
We don't need that. It's a medical emergency.
Yeah, it is caused by you.
To reiterate, none of the video...
Before we continue, because I thought something else was going to happen, I just want to back up a little bit because I'm gonna speak about what it is I think happened in this moment. And again, it still speaks to their pure incompetence, but it leads me to think that it wasn't pure malicious intent. It's just like a whole bunch of untrained clowns on a power trip and not understanding what's happening because of their lack of training and their incompetence. I know I said incompetence like 30 times at this point, but like I just need you to understand and stress that this is what I see these guys as being. Because the fact that these situations are happening a lot more and they're happening in the streets to American citizens is absolutely unacceptable. Okay, like this is not a thing that's supposed to be happening in America, but yet here it is. Let's back up a little bit to this portion of the video as I think they're describing, because the way I see it and the way this appears to be here is that you got this one dude in the brown who is pulling out his weapon. You have this other dude in the gray who actually disarms Alex Pretti from the weapon he has on him. Now, here's the thing. Again, you're allowed to have a weapon on you. You have a Second Amendment right to have a weapon on you if you are a legal gun owner. You have your permit, all that stuff, right? Now, if you brandish your weapon, aka you flash your weapon, you show it in a threatening manner, then that's illegal. But at no point during this entire altercation did he do that. He was pepper sprayed, he was attacked, he's hitting in the head, and he's getting jumped by like 10 officers right now. And at no point did he flash his gun. They noticed his gun, and then they disarm his gun, and they throw it, and then they kill him. But what I think happens is that this dude who disarms his gun either takes it, and I'm going to play it back, I think it was there, and either yells gun or says gun or whatever it is, and then this clown doesn't understand that the gun was just disarmed, stands up, not knowing where it is, thinking there might be a threat, and starts shooting. This is the way I break it down. And so what that tells me, and we'll say it again, I'm going to let it play here, is that it's not malicious, I think. This is the only benefit of that I will give these guys. I don't think they just thought, let's just kill this guy in the streets for fun. I think this clown right here probably believed for half a second, I don't know where this gun is. I saw a gun on him. Where is it? I'm going to start shooting first before he starts shooting at me. Not realizing his partner over here took the gun and threw it already. This is what I believe is happening, but that doesn't really make it any better. At most, it just says it wasn't malicious, but it still means that they were incompetent. They weren't trained. They have bad communication. They shouldn't have been fighting and attacking him the way they were, given what happened in the first place. Their use of force and their degree to which they escalated to this point, I felt like every single thing they did was just like the wrong move and a lack of good judgment. So, like, honestly, if there's anything I can give these guys, is that I think it wasn't malicious, maybe. And that's still a maybe. And I'm going to say that because at the end of this clip, we're going to see something about Alex Pretti that makes that as of today, that's having some people feel like maybe there's some things here that are a little bit more malicious than we originally thought. Now, I'm not fully convinced just yet, but we will go through that together. Let's keep it going past this point, and we will discuss some more on the other end.
Beanie Hat draws his weapon, and the first shot is fired.
Gonna
We
explain
can see
this.
that he fired the second, third, and fourth shots. Alex Pretti collapses to the ground. The agent stepped back, standing clear of his motionless body. Another agent draws his gun and also points it at Alex Pretti. More
Sorry, I just want to bring it back because I wanted to get I wanted him to re-summarize what's going on between after I went on that entire yap diatribe. I just want to re-summarize what's going on here between having the gun, this guy having the gun, and the other guy disarming him. Just want to bring it back just a little bit so we can see it together again.
This agent is facing away. He then turns towards Alex Pretti. At this point, he has a clear view of the agent in the grey jacket who's about to remove the gun. The agent we're now focused on is wearing a black beanie hat, a black face covering, and sunglasses. He's facing towards Alex Pretti. We can't say definitively he sees the gun being removed, but he's facing in that direction, and the agent in the grey jacket turns away, holding Alex Pretti's gun. At almost exactly the same time, the agent in the black beanie hat draws his weapon, and the first shot is fired. We can see that he fired the second, third, and fourth shots. Alex Pretti collapses to the ground. The agent stepped back, standing clear of his motionless body. Another agent draws his gun and also points it at Alex Pretti. More shots are fired.
Yeah.
None of the other agents can be seen to draw their firearms at any point. The agent who fired the first shots can be seen firing the final 3. In total, 10 shots were fired in 5 seconds. And the legality of this action is under scrutiny.
It is unconstitutional to use.
And okay, and just at a minimum, so like even to that point, and I'm gonna let this professor talk here. You see, like at a minimum, he was looking at the other guy as the other guy was taking the weapon. Whether or not he was directly looking or paying attention or whatever it is, it just seems like he should have been able to see what was happening. But the only thing I can think of is that for whatever reason, he didn't. He freaked out and then he noticed, wait, I don't see the gun, even though the guy his partner just removed it. That is the best I can give these guys. Again, still incompetence, still clowns, still ridiculous, still terrible, and still completely unjustified. But let's keep it going.
Use lethal force against someone who does not pose an imminent threat of death or serious bodily harm to another person.
25
Also, like 10 shots into this dude, like at this point, what are we doing here, guys? Crazy.
seconds after the final shot, agents kneel by Alex Pretti's body. One gestures towards another for something on the back of his body armor. 1 minute and 13 seconds after the final shot, we hear the agents talking about Alex Pretti's fire. And another agent arrives, slipping on the ice as he does. And there's an exchange with someone in the car where this video is being filmed.
You don't need that. It's a medical emergency.
Yeah, it is caused by you. You.
To reiterate, none of the videos
100% deserved. 100% deserved. Oh, it's a medical emergency. You don't say. You mean after you shoot somebody like 10 times on the ground, there's a medical emergency resulting from that? I would have never guessed. Pretty damn crazy.
we've analysed show Alex Pretti holding a gun. There's no available evidence that he was an assassin who tried to murder federal agents. No available evidence he intended to massacre law enforcement, nor that it was a violent riot. No available evidence that this was an individual who arrived at this scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement. In these videos, we don't see evidence of what the Trump administration has been saying. Footage shared with the BBC by the news movement appears to show Alex Pretti and other protesters in a confrontation with federal agents in the days after Renee Good's death. It's unclear exactly what the agents were doing. This man has the same coat, facial hair and gait as Alex Pretti, and a facial recognition tool suggests a 97% match. We see
That's pretty damn crazy. Just the kind of, make that point. This video is like, it's been circulating as of today, of like a prior altercation that Alex Pretti had with ICE. And it's just one of those things where it's just like, with the way social media is and everyone having a camera in their hand, I feel like things like this are going to come to light so much quicker nowadays because everyone has a camera. And so as the story develops, as you hear new things, as you learn more, the plot thickens, right? Like, this particular piece was not known just a day or two ago. And now within this most recent video, it's incorporated here to kind of give us a bit more context. And, you know, for some people, a little bit more of a motive as to why what happened. But like, let's go through it. And again, we'll talk a little bit more on the other end.
Him shouting abuse at the agents. He also motions to spit at a federal agent in a car and then kicks the rear light of the car twice. Agents then wrestle him to the ground. He's then allowed to get up, and as he does, a gun can be seen in his waistband.
Yeah.
It's in the same position as the gun Alex Pretti was carrying on the day he was killed. This earlier incident, shown in the video shared with the BBC, happened at the intersection of Park Avenue and East 36th Street. 11 days later, Alex Pretti was shot dead, just over 2 kilometers away on Nicollet Avenue. His killing, and the Trump administration's unsubstantiated claims about what happened, have provided another test of what Americans will and won't accept from the federal government.
All right. All right. Shout out to BBC. I will actually have that full video in the description below, so that way you guys have access to it if you want to watch it by yourself without my yapping in there, kind of giving commentary. But listen, honestly, as I was mentioning, and I think they did a great job kind of compiling all the clips together, because I meant to get onto this story a few days ago, and I wasn't able to at the time, but just so much has happened in between now and then. Because again, to reiterate some of the points made, originally the response from the administration was basically doing exactly what they do before. We double down, we never back down, we never accept accountability. We have a bar in hell, so we don't even have to try to do anything that, like, you know, a regular grown-up administration would do, which is like, no matter, like, guys, typically, even if we were watching something on camera and we can all see it together, you don't have the officials and the people in charge of an investigation just jump out the window immediately and say, like, well, person's completely innocent, or, you know, this or that. Like, that doesn't usually happen. That's usually for us to do. We're the ones who get to speculate and do all that. But the people who are running investigations, who will eventually have to determine whether or not there was what we're looking at is a murder, what we're looking at is manslaughter, what we're looking at is an accident, what we're looking at is a what do they call it? A good shoot by cops, which is one of those terms I was hearing it said the other day. It's like legal but ugly or something, or like I'm gonna completely kill it. But basically, it's like this idea where, like, we don't like it. It doesn't make us feel good. We hate that it is, but legally the officer is able to do that. There's a term around that was been thrown around, I've been hearing, but I don't know what it is. But nonetheless, what I would say is that typically when something like this happens, the officials in charge would say, we are going to conduct an investigation. They do not jump out the window and start saying all these crazy things. Like, for example, Kristi Noem jumped out the window and started calling this man a domestic terrorist, because this is the number one thing that the Trump administration is doing as a result of these situations. A few weeks ago, after Renee Good died, the first thing they did was jump out and call her a domestic terrorist. And that's what, and the thing that I was saying then, and the thing I'm saying now, is that isn't it crazy that as an American citizen, the first thing that your government will do after they get you killed in the middle of the street is brand you a domestic terrorist as a means to justify your death? This is the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen. And honestly, it's like, again, when the bar is in hell, you can't be surprised anymore. The Trump administration does so much dumb things, and they're just like finding more and more ways to be repugnant, that how is anyone surprised that they would immediately go out and brand this man a domestic terrorist? But that is exactly what they did. But the only difference between what happened with this man and Renee Good is that the video evidence really doesn't leave too much wiggle room for what happened. I mean, even looking at the new clip that is circulating today with his original altercation that happened with ICE a few weeks ago, where he kicked their car and he was yelling at them and he's being a little bit more aggressive. I wouldn't say it was justified for him to have been shot or something in that video either. But in that video, he was a lot more aggressive than he was in the one he actually got shot and killed in. And that's the crazy thing, right? And so some people are now taking that second video and saying, oh, no, guys, it was intentional. ICE branded him. They saw that video and they're thinking to themselves, oh, by the way, they just came back around for this dude that they noticed was causing trouble. And I'm going to say this. I'm not going to be one who buys too much in those narratives. I understand people are upset and people could think of it that way. I just feel like we don't have enough information to make that determination. Like, is it possible that, like, number one, like, do we know if it's the same guys who were there when when Alex Pretti had that altercation a few weeks ago? Was it the same guys versus the one who's ultimately wound up killing him? If so, yeah, I mean, that motive seems a little bit stronger. But if not, then was it just simply like that ICE officer telling the other folks about this man or someone that they noticed? Or was it simply one of those, like, it's that particular officer thinks to themselves, oh, this is a bad experience I had at work that day, but does not necessarily put out a warning to all other officers of a particular individual. I feel like there's so much different things that I just don't know what to say. And so for that particular narrative that I see starting to spin and will probably be pervasive at some point tomorrow, I'm going to say, me personally, I'm not exactly buying it, but I understand why people won't put it past. And sorry, I took a little bit of a detour there to bring it back to the fact that people don't put these things past it because the bar is in hell. Okay? When you don't trust these people because these people have shown that they are incompetent, they have shown that they don't give a damn, they have shown that if you are not on their side, they don't care about you, and they do everything in their power to thumb it in your nose to tell you that they can just do what they want and you can't do anything about it. People at some point start to look at things and think, no, this isn't too crazy to think about these people. Because as we'll see a little bit later, as I mentioned earlier, the folks who would defend the Second Amendment right after and directly after a school shooting, when calls are talking about gun control or whatever it might be, these same people, when it is now a lefty or someone on the opposite side, are actually starting to backtrack a little bit on their Second Amendment support. You can't put anything past them. And I'm just going to say that is the very reason why, though I don't agree with some of those, probably, as I mentioned, some of the narratives you're probably going to see starting tomorrow or the day after about the prior altercation and whether or not it was like revenge or get back for that moment. I understand where people are coming from. All right. So I think what I want to talk about, the remainder portion of this stream. I'm sorry, guys. It is like actually pretty damn late over here. And I am I am all yapped out, but hold on, give me a second. Let me just get some water real quick. All right, man. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. So look, let me just check some of my notes here for what it was I wanted to do. All right. So so what we're gonna go over right now is we already got some of the initial responses from the Trump administration. And in fact, I'm just going to pull up a couple small clips in case that one didn't quite hammer it home that you understand what they were trying to do, just to illustrate the point, not only from Kristi Noem, but from one of the senior officials, Greg, Bovino, I believe. Let me get the link here, and we'll listen to some of them yap to us about what they believe happened in the immediate aftermath of the situation, before we had some of the clips circulating from multiple different angles to, make sure that our eyes aren't lying to us. But let's find it real quick. We have Kristi Noem's full response. We'll take this one first, and then we will speak about some of the other clips in a second. Let me just get this together here. I think my mouse just died. So I gotta use it. I'll figure this out. While we're loading the next clip, I'll get this figured out. So annoying. All right. All right. This is like a longer clip of some of her full remarks. I'm going to speed it up here because we kind of know the gist of what's going to go on. But I'm just going to kind of speed it up so we can kind of get the context of what it is she's saying. Again, that way it's not seem like things are just kind of plucked from the air, and we all understand each other here. Okay, so let's get our video queued up here. We're gonna put this at 1.5 speed. Bear with me. You feel this is too fast? Let me know. But I think we'll be okay. It's not like they're talking that fast anyway. All right, real quick.
But before I take any questions and give more details on the storm and its impact, I do want to address the tragic situation that we saw in Minneapolis.
I mean, probably not the greatest for a live stream. I get it. All right. Just to let y'all know, I listen to stuff at like 1.5 and 2 speed like all the time. But like, I gotta realize that not everyone likes it. So you let me know. 1.25 is what we're going with.
Today that unfolded on the streets. It occurred with DHS law enforcement as they carried out their lawful duties to keep Americans safe in the threat of criminal illegal aliens in this country. At 9:05 a.m. Central Time, the Department of Homeland Security law enforcement officials and officers were conducting targeted operations in Minneapolis against an illegal alien whose criminal history included domestic assault with intentionally inflicting bodily harm, disorderly conduct, and driving without a valid license. An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately and attempted to deliver medical aid to the subject, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 magazines with ammunition in them that held dozens of rounds.
Again, just extra information that's used to kind of paint him as some dangerous person when he's actually someone just exercising a Second Amendment right. Having magazines or rounds to a gun that you have is not like it's not a problem. But again, of course, he would know that. This administration would know that. But like, you know, we are in immediately spinning narratives mode rather than like, let's just try to figure out what happened and no comment right now, which is what they could have done and people would feel a way about, but it's actually the more professional thing to do. But I digress. Let's keep it going.
Also had no ID. This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at the scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement. About hundreds of...
Do you see how they're trying to gaslight you? Individual got onto the scene to inflict maximum damage to law enforcement. We watched the video, guys. Dude held up a phone camera, and he just stood there. Tried to help up this lady, got pepper sprayed, and then he got jumped. This dude did not show that they're making it seem like this dude came up with his gun and he was ready to go crazy on ice. But that is absolutely not what happened. But like, we'll just keep going.
Protesters then showed up at the scene. They began to obstruct and to assault law enforcement officers. We saw objects being thrown at them, including ice and other objects, and a rampant assault began, and even an HSI officer agent's finger was bitten off. Crowd control measures were deployed to bring safety to the public and to law enforcement at the scene. And once again, I want to remind everybody that this situation and this tragedy did not have to happen. Our law enforcement are doing everything that they can to protect the public. We're praying for this deceased loved one's family and friends, but we also recognize that the Minnesota governor and the Minneapolis mayor need to take a long, hard look in the mirror. They need to evaluate their rhetoric, their conversations, and their encouragement of such violence against our citizens and our law enforcement officers. I'll remind you that Governor Walz today in his press conference said that our officers were not even law enforcement, which is a lie. He's called them the Gestapo. He's encouraged residents and citizens and violent rioters to resist. He's doxed their identities, putting themselves and their families' lives in jeopardy. He's refused to turn over murders to federal law enforcement officers. He's protected illegal criminals.
All right. Okay. I didn't remember it was at the end of this clip here. She's going to start rambling and yapping a bit as to try to shift blame from what happened here onto Governor Walz and try to say, you know, by the way, it's like really their fault. Let's not talk about what just happened because she don't want to talk about what's happened. But so excuse me, guys. So the main point I'm trying to get at here is that this is one of the things that you will initially see. And again, this happened within the first couple of days of the shooting. And what is going to happen as I get my next clip together, I will, you know what, before I do that, let me also share with you guys Donald Trump, our esteemed leader, his initial response to what happened here. I mean, as always, he's gonna hop on Truth Social, and again, this particular part was shown on in the BBC video, so I'm not gonna go through the whole thing, but I'll just kind of give you the gist of what's going on here, and because we didn't read through it before, but basically what you got is this is the gunman's gun, loaded with 2 additional full magazines and ready to go. Right? So like this is the picture of his gun. This is his gun after they disarmed it. So like what's the point of him saying this in the beginning? Y'all want to take a guess? Okay, it's fine. I'll tell you. Obviously, it's to start to paint the man as like some violent dude who was going to show up and do something crazy. And that could work if we didn't have the video stating the exact opposite. Okay? Again, not illegal to have a gun on you in a state that allows it. You can go to a protest in Minnesota if you are a legal gun owner with your gun on you and magazines with the gun. That's perfectly fine. All right, let's read a little bit more of this. Eventually, he's going to start yapping too, though. That's the general gist of what's going to go on here. This is the gunman's gun, loaded with 2 additional full magazines and ready to go. What is that all about? Where are the local police? Why weren't they allowed to protect ICE officers? The mayor and the governor called them off. It is stated that many of these police were not allowed to do their jobs, that ICE had to protect themselves. Not an easy thing to do. Why does Ilhan Omar have $34 million in her account? Do y'all see what I'm saying? This is what I was saying, where I was just like, the problem I have with Donald Trump is that most times this man can't even take a second to be presidential in the context of which we previously understood it, which is poised, measured, takes a moment to like analyze the situation before flying off the handle and saying some crazy nonsense on, well, I guess not social media, but we'll just say crazy nonsense to the press. And he doesn't have the ability to do that, and not even the ability to stay focused. So he starts this off talking about the gunman, again, insinuating that it's a crazy madman who's tried to go out there and harm officers. Then starts talking about Ilhan Omar because he has the like greatest beef with this woman. And in fact, there was a situation today where some dude tried to walk up on her and spray a syringe at her or something like that, and she was ready to throw hands. So we might do a separate video on that later, actually, because I mean, shout outs to Ilhan Omar, but dude can't stay focused. He's attacking Ilhan Omar, and now he's going to start to talk about all his grievances with Minnesota, right? And I'm just going to say this was his initial reaction. Again, he didn't have to say any of this, right? He could have just said, "Oh, you know, let's see what happened," right? But he can't help himself. The very first thing that he and his administration will always do is defend. They don't care about what the truth is. We live in like a post-truth society with these guys. They just care about winning, the narrative wars, the culture wars. And if this guy is not on our side, then we're not going to stop and take a beat and try to understand what happened. We're going to fight and defend and argue and say that we're right first, and facts of the situation be damned. The only difference is that the facts of this particular situation are too damning for them to keep this type of nonsense up. So we're going to go over one more Trump official and their original response, and then we're going to go over how things are very much changing. I mean, here's a wild clip from Greg Bovino. So the two main characters of ridiculously in this situation, I mean, Donald Trump is always at the top, but it's not necessarily Donald Trump per se. We have Kristi, Noem, who we kind of went over, and then we have this guy, Greg Bovino. I forget what his exact title was because we'll get over that. Dude got relieved of his duties. We'll get to that in a second. But before we do, let's just go over this little discussion he had here with Dana Bash, and we'll react to it as we go through it.
There's no evidence that he was perpetrating violence. And there's no evidence, unless you have it, and we'd love to see it if there is, that he was intending to.
Mind you, guys, for context, this is how the conversation was going in the immediate aftermath of this happening. So, like, again, this narrative that they're doing, whatever they're trying to do right here, it starts to fall apart within like 2 days. But when it immediately happened, the video started circulating and people started to discuss it. Dude started to show up on the shows. This is like I don't know, this is a Sunday show or something like that. Dude started to show up and start spinning instantly. And this is the nonsense that they started doing during these times.
Massacre law enforcement, other than the fact that he was there and he had a gun lawfully.
He meant to be there beforehand. Again, Dana, he came there beforehand.
How do you know that?
For a reason.
How do you know that?
Because he was there.
But all he was doing was filming and documenting it, which is legal. He was carrying a gun, which in Minneapolis is legal.
I didn't say it wasn't. And I didn't say it wasn't legal.
So then what did he do that was illegal?
Assault federal law enforcement when he does that. That's an active law enforcement crime scene.
Where do you see in the video that he was
decided to enter into?
Where do you
do you see how this is working, guys? Immediately starts to talk about him assaulting law enforcement like we don't have the video playing next to him at this exact moment. If assaulting law officers is you getting beat up by like 10 of them, and like what are we doing here? Are we just like changing definitions of things? Like, clearly, dude is not assaulting law officers when he's getting beat down by them, and he will eventually be killed by them in a few short moments in this video. What are we talking about? Like, but you see, this is what he tried to do. Basically trying to spin this. Hey, there's a video playing, and I'm just gonna act like I don't see it, and I'm just gonna keep going with the orders that I have. I'm gonna keep going with my abilities to attempt to gaslight, but obviously it doesn't work now.
I see in the video that he was assaulting law enforcement, because from everything we have seen, law enforcement was assaulting him when he was there trying to help another individual.
Dana, law enforcement doesn't assault anyone. Follow directions of law enforcement. Follow directions of law enforcement in an active crime scene. It's very evident he didn't want to do that. Very evident that the other individuals didn't want to do that. And you know, it's too bad the consequences had to be paid because he injected himself into that crime scene. I can't say that enough. He made the decision to go there. We didn't make the decision to talk to him. We didn't even know that individual was in existence until he came into that crime scene.
I want to go back.
All right. So like, this is like, again, the general gist of how these conversations were going. I think this is another clip from that conversation. It's only 18 seconds. I probably should have found the full thing, but at some point I didn't want to just be here with y'all watching full CNN Dana Mash videos, right? So I'm like, let me try to get a little bit more of a condensed version of this, and then take it from there. And then we got one more mini clip because I realized I didn't get to show it, and then we'll wrap up this particular segment talking about how they previously sounded versus how they will eventually start to change their tone.
With respect, it feels as though in some ways you're blaming the victim here.
The victims are the Border Patrol agents. I'm not blaming the Border Patrol agents.
Wild.
The victim are the Border Patrol agents. The suspect put himself in that situation. The victims are the Border Patrol agents there.
Okay, guys. Oh, man. All right, guys. I got to put it into yap mode, okay? Guys, how crazy does it have to be for you in this moment to be so damn brain dead and not be able to read the room or understand what just happened, as to go on live television on CNN and say the victims are the agents, and then call the man that the agents killed the suspect? You have got to be 7 types of stupid to be doing what this guy was doing right here. Okay, like we got to take a look. If y'all know who I'm talking about, because you came in a half second late, I'm talking about this guy right here, Greg Bovino. Absolutely ridiculous person. I'm sorry, I had a brain fart because I'm just thinking like, yo, this guy, like, he can't be that dumb, right? Like, there's literally no way someone dies at the hands of your agency that you're leading in this particular moment, and you come out there and you say they're the victims. Like, you did. Like, did you see the video? I feel like he didn't see the video before he went on here, or he did, but he just was like, nah, there's no way. I have to act like I didn't see it, or I have to act as though the world can't see this video that they have access to. But see, again, the problem is this thing was on Twitter like immediately. Okay, like we live in the era where a few months ago Charlie Kirk got shot in the head, and that video is circulating on X. Okay, it's very hard for you to hide things like this now because the internet is the internet. Okay, so I don't understand what the purpose of what the point was that this guy's trying to do right here, but like 7 types of ridiculous and 7 types of stupid. All right, last clip, guys, of this particular segment of we want you to not believe your lying eyes, and we're gonna keep telling you things and try to spin narratives as though y'all ain't see the video. All right, it's just this one clip from Kristi Noem that I was going over a little bit earlier, and I don't think I got to show it, so I just want to show it real quick. It's a small one, and then we're gonna transition into our next segment here. All right. Some point I'm gonna have like 1,000 tabs in this thing, and it's gonna be kind of crazy. So I'm almost certain that that's gonna be the case. All right. All right. Again, this is part of that interview that we were watching earlier, but it's just a separate portion in it so that we can see a particular part that is again pretty damn wild.
The fraud that they have allowed to happen. Yes.
The White House has labeled the man who was killed in Minnesota as a domestic terrorist. Is that something you agree with? And have you seen any evidence to
when
back
you
up that
perpetuate
claim?
violence against a government because of ideological reasons and for reasons to resist and perpetuate violence, that is the definition of domestic terrorism. This individual who came with weapons and ammunition to stop a law enforcement operation of federal law enforcement officers committed an act of domestic terrorism. That's the facts. And a fraud that they have allowed.
All right, so guys, I just want you to know, don't get caught out here fighting in the streets with ICE, because your government will kill you, and before they even figure out what happened, they will turn around and call you a domestic terrorist. Okay? It's not about figuring out what happened. It's not about trying to understand the situation. It's not trying to be sensitive to your family, your friends, your community. It's not trying to understand the facts on the ground so that way you can have a semblance or a form of justice and something that makes sense in the world. You're just going to immediately come out and try to play for your team, play for your sides, and say, by the way, that American citizen that just got killed in the middle of the street on camera that we don't understand yet is a domestic terrorist. And why are we calling them a domestic terrorist? Because that makes the fact that we killed them justified. It justifies the situation. That is the problem. Guys, we I don't feel like we've seen something this ridiculous before. But again, I mean, like, this is another day in the Trump administration, right? Like, every single time you walk around, guys, we've never seen this before. This is unprecedented. No one cares. This stuff just continues. Well, hold on. Let me back up. People care. But what I'm just saying is that this is just like another Tuesday in the Trump administration. Like, moments like this in other administrations would last the test of time. They would just keep being played months and months after. And the Trump administration is like, all right, that's like today. Y'all gonna get over this next week, right? Like, that's like, because there's just so much other things that happened, and it's mind-boggling to me that this is a reality. But all right, let's transition to our next section here, guys. I mean, I probably went over a lot more videos than I had to at that point, but the point I'm trying to hit home is that these people originally started off trying to gaslight you and make you believe, do not believe your lying eyes. It's all fake. ICE agents are the victims, and like, who is this guy, right? And what starts to happen eventually is that this thing starts to play and play and play, and it gets so damn bad that they can't actually keep up with that lie. They just can't do it. And I'm gonna tell you guys something. I'm gonna find this clip right here. When Donald Trump himself, the man who like doesn't have no shame, the man who typically never backs down ever, starts to say, we need to have an investigation. Oh, we need to kind of see what's going on. Oh, we need to think about this and that and all these other different considerations. Then I need you to understand that in that moment in time, it's really bad. Okay? The dam is breaking. When that happens, it's over. Okay? Because what we start to see is before we get to the moment of like Donald Trump sounding a lot better, you start to see like some Republicans come out and say, oh, well, this one's not really that good. You start to see some Republicans come out and say, oh, well, because remember, these guys, the ultimate Trump bootlickers, right? Like the whole party, 99% of the party, 90% of the party. A lot of those folks, like whether or not they have a real position or not, they'll never come out publicly and say it, right? Because it's all about like, well, like what do our poll numbers say? If people like Trump and we say something bad, then like we'll explode, or he'll come after us on social media and say mean tweets about us. So all these guys are scared of him, right? And they never say anything bad. But when you start to see that, it signals of one of two things. Number one, Trump himself may start to change about it. So it's not them going against Trump. It's like, oh, guys, we got the new orders. You need to start to change your direction. Or number two, it's just so damn bad that they cannot accept this as they cannot accept this as being okay and still be accepted as like reasonable people, right? So then what starts to happen is that these people, they don't blame Trump because they'll never do that. They start to look for the scapegoats, right? So like, oh, it's Kristi Noem, she has to go. Oh, it's Stephen Miller, he's a clown. He is a clown. And it's Bovino. This guy's off, he has to go. And that's what starts to happen here. So we're going to go into the transition, which is going to lead us to our off ramp in this particular live stream, which is the perspective starts to shift from gaslighting to acceptance that this is a very, very different situation, and the dam is breaking because Donald Trump himself is changing course. But before we get into that, let's go over this particular clip here. See what this is. Oh, right. So right before it starts to change, this is Trump trying to reason with himself and even kind of backtracking on some of the staples of conservatism in this country, which is pro Second Amendment no matter what. And to be fair, that's not necessarily represent conservatism per se, but like it's the brand along with republicanism is pro Second Amendment no matter what. And what we're going to see here is even a backtracking of that for half a second, just to, again, this is how the transition happens. Like I'm still trying to fight a little bit, but now I'm realizing I'm fighting against our own ideals that we hold near and dear.
Sir, was Mr. Pretti acting as an assassin? Do you think he was acting as an assassin in Minneapolis?
Who is that?
Mr. Pretti, your deputy chief of staff said that. You don't think so?
All right. So number one, Stephen Miller and some other people said that they believed he was acting like an assassin. So Trump already coming out and denouncing what they said is already a big deal. Oh, also, by the way, J.D. Vance retweeted Stephen Miller trying to call him a would-be assassin. So now Donald Trump coming out and saying no, rather than doubling down or saying like with Renee Good, he was like, oh, I was surprised that the guy almost got ran over and he got ran over. He's like, even though we had a video, this particular one, he's like, nah, like, chill. Not a would-be assassin. Let's keep going.
With that being said, you can't have guns. You can't walk in with guns.
What about the Second Amendment?
Listen, can't walk in with guns. You can't do that. But it's just
You
a
completely
very
ignored that.
unfortunate incident.
What about the Second Amendment, sir?
We'll work something out.
All right. So, I mean, listen, guys. So, I mean, they ask him the obvious follow up. What about the Second Amendment? Because again, y'all just need the context. Like, these guys don't ever back down. Whenever there's a situation that happens, tragedy, whatever it might be, it involves guns and people talking about guns or gun reform, whatever it might be, they're always like, nah, we're not doing that. And right now, he's just like, you can't have guns. It's like, yeah, you can, my guy. That's the Second Amendment, right? Like, they literally violated this man's First Amendment right, his Second Amendment right, and his Fourth Amendment right, all in one video, and then killed him. Right, like, and now you're gonna sit right there and be like, no, they can't have guns. It's like, no, they can have guns. They can. Again, this is from the people who defended Kyle Rittenhouse, during the situation with the protest, the Black Lives Matter protest, and now all of a sudden they can't see it. It's just the craziest thing in the world. It's just the craziest thing in the world. All right, let's see a funny clip. Let's see a funny let's see another funny transition as we go through the officials and their changing views on the reality of the situation as it starts to play out and get worse throughout the day. So here's a funny tweet. It was I don't know. So we have a series of tweets here basically just saying Stephen Miller, just as Kristi Noem was calling him a domestic terrorist, right? Domestic terrorists tried to assassinate federal law enforcement, and this is your response. You are the state. You and the state's entire Democrat leadership team have been flaming the flames of insurrection for a singular purpose of stopping the deportation of illegals who invaded the country. Mind you, they are trying to use the word insurrection because of January 6th. They're trying to take it back and try, because they understand that what happened for January 6th looks really bad for them, but at the same time, there's no excuse, right? Like we have the videos of these folks breaking into the Capitol, doing all those things, a lot of them being prosecuted, going to jail, and then Trump pardoning all of them. So what they're trying to do right now is they're just like, oh, let's try to take the word insurrection back and call like protest against ICE in Minnesota an insurrection, when a lot of the times these things are ending up like this, right? So number one, that ain't working out. But dude went from this, right? Dude went from this to basically coming out and saying like, and that was in response to Amy Klobuchar, basically saying, federal agents may not have been following proper protocol in Minneapolis before Alex Pretti was killed. So like, again, as you start to see that, backpedal, okay? That's a backpedal. As someone like, by the way, I'm going to, I don't need y'all to see what's going on right now. I want to take a little bit of the bass out my voice that I just had. Okay, all these folks start to do this at this point, and honestly, it's getting pretty crazy. And as I mentioned to you guys, with the dam starting to break, what's happening. Where you have officials starting to back down. You have Donald Trump himself starting to back down. There's even and I don't have them here today, but there's quotes of Donald Trump talking about I want a good investigation. I might have it actually. We'll see if I can find it. But we have him saying, I want an honorable investigation on all of this. He didn't say none of that a couple of weeks ago when Renee Good got shot, right? Like none of these things were said. But for this particular one, it's just so damn bad. Like I think that they are like we really don't have a way around it, and so you just starting to see the cracks in the armor. And then once you start to see that, you now have the permission for guys like this to hop on CNN and Fox News and wherever else it is to start saying the quiet part out loud, which is like, y'all need to chill because this is ridiculous. Let's get a glimpse here.
I believe that Noem is out of her depth. I think she's reached the Peter principle. She is not competent to run this organization. And I haven't even begun to talk about the failure on FEMA and disaster response in North Carolina, but I will be tomorrow on the floor.
Yeah, so you have called Noem a complete failure on that issue of disaster response, saying she doesn't know how to manage, that people who badly need resources are not getting them. As you know, North Carolina...
Okay, well, I mean, that's that ended a lot different than I thought it did. But I mean, look, you get the idea, right? So now we're gonna come out on Kristi Noem. We're gonna call her out. She can't manage. She's not great. And then And then some people will say certain things about like what I don't have the clip here, but that Bovino guy, that Greg Bovino, the ridiculous person before, he was kind of the scapegoat too, because Trump had him step down. Apparently his position in Minnesota was temporary, and they had him step down and go back to his post in California. And so now they brought in the what's the dude's name? The border czar guy to go into Minnesota and take over his post. So like he didn't get fired, but like he kind of got like they got him out of here, right? And so like you guys need to understand, with the Trump administration, they don't accept fault. They don't, like, they just keep powering through. When you start to see pivots and like scrambling and like PR moves like this, you understand that like this is a bad one. Okay, I know I've said it 1,000 times, but I need y'all to really understand this. All right. So like what we start getting here, and we're getting towards our end piece, is that we have a funny, not funny, but like as I'm telling you guys, the rhetoric is changing. Trump is kind of is changing his tone. He's saying good things about Tim Walz, as they've had a discussion about, you know, what they want to do going forward and all these different things. When you start seeing that tone, you know things are changing. And one of the things we're starting to see that came out today in an Axios article apparently is so I'm going to admit, guys, I didn't see the article. So this is a quote from CNN. This is a screenshot of a quote of an article. And I could have read it, but like at this point, I'm all yapped out, okay? But basically, it's something along the lines of everything I've done at the direction of the president and Stephen, right? So Stephen Miller, the ghoul, right, who's leading all this, and came out and calling the man a domestic terrorist, and Donald Trump. And why I will say I believe her is because, guys, we have to take this funny moment that the internet noticed. We got to take this funny moment that the internet noticed of Kristi Noem side by side with Greg Bovino reading a particular message that we saw at the beginning of this live stream. Okay. This is, man, wrong one. Hold on. Oh man, where is this thing? Oh no, I lost it. Damn it, I lost it. All right.
In this country.
All right, I lost it. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. But basically, I will try to describe it if I cannot. But that a very big portion of Kristi Noem's and President Trump's, Kristi Noem and Greg Bovino's response was just some like approved letter that they wound up both reading verbatim. Okay, and I had the clip here to let y'all see it. You can see how ridiculous this is. But the whole part about like, oh, and the subject came up and tried to attack law enforcement and all that, they read it together. They read the same thing in different meetings. And it's not saying that like people don't have prepared notes, but it's like these guys both kind of just read the script like Ron Burgundy, separate and confidently, and they just kind of went out there and were like, yeah, and this is what happened. And so again, I am not surprised if it's like, yeah, that was approved by Stephen Miller and Donald Trump at some point. And now that everyone realizes it's bad, they're just like, oh, well, they said it. leave them out to dry. And it's like, well, I mean, they did, but also y'all told them it was fine, right? So all right, I'm going to take like 30 seconds to see if I can find this, and if I can't, I'm going to accept and hold my L for the day, which is probably what's about to happen because I don't think I could find it. Okay, guys, this is what happens when you're doing a live stream. Okay, sometimes you try your best to keep things together, and sometimes it falls apart live as you try to go through this. Oh, man. All right. It would have been nice to have that clip. Honestly, it would have been nice. But I think as I was putting together my clip list, overrode it somehow. And that really sucks. All right. Well, guys, it's fine. It's fine. Take my word for it. Or if you really want it, you can go out there and find it. I'm sure it is enjoyable for you all. Man, I'm going to be honest. I think I'm at the point in which I'm delirious because I laughing at something that's actually outrageous. And I think maybe my brain is coping with the reality that like we're cooked. Okay. Guys, to wrap up, I'm going to say this. What's been happening with ICE in Minneapolis and throughout the country is ridiculous. It is not to say that we don't need an enforcement of our immigration laws and that things need to be done in a certain way. But it is to say that like we should have humanity at the forefront still. And I feel like this is the big fight between the right and the left. Because I think a lot of folks on the left want to see the humanity in these operations, but they just typically feel very inhumane, right? Like ripping someone out their house to say, I don't care what you got going on, you got to go. But then also understanding that, okay, I get it. If you got to do this, at least leave the people with some damn dignity. And that is not what we're seeing right now with ICE. These guys are just running in the streets like thugs, limited training, pulling people out. Originally, they said, oh, we're going to get all the criminals and blah, blah, blah. We know that was nonsense, right? In order to hit a certain quota, you're going to, like, at some point, like these guys are doing, like they're waiting outside of like schools and like as parents are like picking up their kids from kindergarten, they're trying to like kidnap them at that point, right? But whatever, you don't like the phrase kidnap, go punch sand, I don't care. But I'm going to say like we don't like seeing how inhumane this is, right? And so then people feel a way, they get upset, and they want to go out into the street and exercise their First Amendment rights as Americans, which is we want to protest and say, y'all need to chill. You're on some BS. And we apparently can't even do that, because if you are doing that, then what ultimately would happen is that in some cases, like this particular case here, you might find yourself in a brush with law enforcement. And if you don't act properly, you might find that you don't have your life to take home with you at the end of the day. So honestly, this is just one of those things where like, I think the situation is sad all around. I will say, I mean, I know I'm generally pretty hard on the administration here, but I'll give a little bit of credit where it's due, only to encourage better behavior. Because again, the bar is in hell. I could at least appreciate a little bit more when these guys know they effed up and they all start to kind of change their rhetoric and change their perspective. Like Trump saying, oh, you know, like, let's do an investigation. Let's figure out what happened. Like he should have said in the beginning, because that's what everyone always says in the beginning. Or people starting to say, oh, like even Stephen Miller, that ghoul, like, oh, you know, oh, maybe some of the protocols weren't followed exactly right at the time. Right. Or like Bovino went out there being ridiculous in the first couple of days and said, all right, you need to get out of here. We need to go get someone else in to kind of like manage this because you're done. You embarrassed us enough at this point. And just understanding that with every single move that they made and fault that they made, even their sudden anti Second Amendment kind of stance from the FBI director, from Donald Trump, to all these people who are supposed to be pro Second Amendment, all of a sudden sounding like, oh, but you can't have guns. Yes, you can. You're allowed to have guns. What are we talking about here? I can say, even in the face of all that, I can at least appreciate just the about face. And again, guys, the bar is in hell. You should honestly be able to, like you shouldn't get any credit for doing what you're supposed to do. But for these folks, they never do what they're supposed to do. So when you see it, you're just like, oh, well, like credit for the bare minimum. But that's about it. That's as far as credit goes to them. Aside from that, all of this is laid at their feet. The incompetence of the current administration and how they've kind of led this entire situation with ICE and everything that results from it is in a lot of ways their fault, right? There's a lot of better ways. Like they simply could have, like, it's not to say you won't have things happen. Like in the real world, things will happen. But it is to say that things should not be happening like this based on the sheer level of incompetence that we are witnessing on the daily basis. And it's not that we're just hearing stories and like they just like pop up in the ether and no one knows where they're coming from. we're seeing live, not live, but we're seeing these clips on social media. We're seeing these clips every single day just circulating on the internet, different forums, different discussions, different platforms. And that simply should not be the case. So again, unfortunately, another life lost for no reason. But perhaps we will get some accountability on this one, and we will see what comes next. Guys, that is TheJespective. What's yours? Let me know in the comments down below. Like the video if you have not already, and subscribe, as I got much more content like this on the way. Guys, I've been gone so damn long. I want to do this a lot more. I have fun today. So expect to see me very, very soon. So until next time, YouTube. Peace.